Hello and welcome to the Cardi What's in Academy podcast. I am Irv Mesias from the Latin Network. In this episode, we will be continuing doing interviews with some of the smartest people I know. Now, let's just jump right into it. Now, first of all, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, I'm Shawn Cochran. I used to live in Tennessee, and I am currently in my junior year of high school. And I attended Vampy for 3 years, and that's where I met Irv. He's an amazing guy. And then recently I moved to Florida. I've been here for just over half a year now, and I'm enjoying the warm weather every single day.
That's awesome to hear. Now, could you talk a bit more about Bambi for, the those watching this episode who don't know what it is?
Yeah. So Vampy is a 3-week opportunity held by Western Kentucky University where students from all over get to live on campus for 3 weeks and study a topic of their interest. And like some of the best teachers from the region are invited to teach those classes. When I was at Vampy, I studied presidential politics, ancient civilizations, and then pop culture. And all 3 years, I had an excellent time. I met tons of wonderful people, and then every night was just a blast. Like we did so much.
Yep, and actually, Vampy is, matter of fact, Vampy is where I met some of a lot of my close friends, like, Sean. I actually did an interview with Gianno last night, so,
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah. Yeah, but okay, so okay, now you said you took presidential politics and all those classes. Did any of those relate to your career you want to go into?
So they do. I'm highly interested in the field of law and being able to study presidential politics and seeing how many presidents were lawyers before entering politics, and then seeing how a president can serve their people, and even members of Congress can serve their people. That all motivated me to become a lawyer, and that is still one of my top interests today. And just learning about the basic history of our country really motivated me to want to bring positive change. And then, like my other classes, like ancient civ and pop culture, just helped me understand more of a diverse range of cultures.
All right, now since you're, think about going to career into law, is there like a
Yeah.
certain college you would like to attend, or is there one you have your eye on at the moment?
Yeah. So, like, I kind of had to rethink everything since before I was thinking about what Tennessee school to go to, but of course now I moved to Florida. So I am currently looking at University of Florida and then Florida State University. I always get the two mixed up, but they're both known for having like great law departments and then also psychology, which is what I probably want to major in.
Yeah, psychology is interesting, seeing how minds work and everything.
Absolutely.
Okay, so with this podcast, being about sharing Latin culture, as you can clearly see by the background right here, are
Mhm.
you of Latin descent or heritage?
Yes. So I was adopted from Guatemala when I was just over one, and I am half Guatemalan, about a quarter Mexican, and the remaining quarter is split mostly upon like native culture, like from the California region of the United States, and then
Oh,
just like a sprinkle of every other Latin country.
of course, of course. Now, could you tell us, if you can, could you tell us a little bit more about Guatemalan culture that you know of?
So I was adopted when I was one, so I don't know too much, but I have seen some of the fabric that Guatemalan people make, and it's all very colorful and like the colors are so bright, it's beautiful, it's soft. And I have a couple pieces, and they're some of my favorite possessions. And just knowing that like the people who made those share my culture is super interesting. And like Latin food, of course, love it.
Of course. That's one of the things where if you make a whole batch, it's could be gone by the next day.
Exactly.
Now, has being Latin changed how you've been treated? Has it given you new opportunities? Like, how has it being Latin impacted you as a person?
So I do think it has changed the way I'm treated, especially like having sort of darker skin than like a few regions of Latin America. And I'd say it's mostly been positive, but sometimes it is a little odd or awkward being like not singled out directly, but just like feeling and knowing that, I'm different a little.
Yeah.
But I do know it's uncontrollable, but I am proud of my culture and background. And I celebrate it as much as possible. And luckily, no one has said anything negative to me about my culture. But if they did, I would just like that wouldn't deter me at all. I would keep being proud of who I am.
Now, you said how you don't know much about Guatemalan culture. Do you feel that the education system does a good job, teaching about Latin culture overall, besides overall?
I really don't, since like I mentioned in the introduction, I'm in 11th grade, but I've still gone 12 years, if you count kindergarten,
Yeah.
of my education without learning anything about Guatemala. I'd say the closest I've gotten is like in a Spanish class when we had to like investigate a country of Latin America each day for a couple weeks. But of course, allocating a 1 day class to exploring culture, you're clearly going to leave some stuff out and you're not going to get a full like deep dive into what the culture truly is. So I feel like there could definitely be more done to help us understand Latin culture, especially for people like me who were adopted and who want to know more.
Okay. And do you feel there's something we can do, as in us and the newer generation, on spreading knowledge on Latin culture and making sure, people are educated about that?
Right. So our generation, of course, is like each generation gets more diverse. So I feel like our generation has really seized at the opportunity and we are becoming more accepting of different cultures and the number of people of color and Latin Americans in the US is growing. And with that, we are celebrating our heritage. Like I have a lot of friends who are very proud to be Puerto Rican and then Cuban and Brazilian and so on. And I'm the same way. I'm proud of my heritage and like especially being in Florida where it's more diverse than my old town was. You just get to share that knowledge more. So I feel like our generation has really taken that opportunity and used it for something great. And that being helping people of color, especially Latin Americans, feel more included.
Well said, well said.
Thank
Now,
you.
I'm afraid we are indeed running out of time. So before we end this interview off, would you like to say anything to the people watching this episode?
Yes. So, what I really want to get out of this episode is that, like, people like me who are proudly Latino, we're absolutely here to stay. And we are all very welcoming individuals. We're open minded and we are proud to be who we are. And we will not be deterred, whether it be from name calling or just excluding us from things, because we know that our culture matters. And it's important that we as a generation continue becoming more diverse and accepting of everyone. And so that's what I really want listeners to get out of this episode.
All right. Well, again, Shawn, thank you very much for your time. It's been a
Of
pleasure
course.
talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shawn, for your time. As always, it's nice seeing you, talking to you again. It's nice to see another Guatemalan. I'm part Guatemalan on my mother's side, so it's nice seeing someone else in my culture.
Now, our person of the day is Oscar Isaac.
So Oscar Isaac Hernandez Estrada, of course, following the tradition of every Latino having long names, but most people refer to him as Oscar Isaac. So he was born March 9th, 1979 in Guatemala. His mother is Guatemalan and his father is Cuban, so he is half Guatemalan, half Cuban. He was raised in Miami, Florida, and he has been in lots of movies and is part of a band called Blinking Underdogs, which have opened for Green Day before. Which, if you don't know who Green Day is, first of all, you should listen to them. They've done some of the most popular songs, like Boulevard of Broken Dreams, American Idiot, other songs like that.
Also, Oscar Isaac started acting in 2006. The Native Story has been like lots of successful and diverse movies that he has, acted in and made.
Yeah, some of his most successful films are the Star Wars trilogy, where he plays Poe Dameron, an X-wing pilot, X-Men Apocalypse, where he plays the main villain Apocalypse, and Moon Knight, where he plays Mark Spector and Stephen Grant. Now, I'm just going to rant a little bit about Moon Knight because, again, I'm a huge Marvel fan, huge comics fan, all that. So, Moon Knight, for those of you who don't know, is a superhero who has DID, this associative identity disorder. And in this case, where Mark Spector has different aspects, like Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, who have their own personalities, but they share the same body. And and I'm friends with someone who has DID, and the way they describe their experience is similar to what we see in Moon Knight, and they actually shared. I was talking to them the other day over the phone, and the topic of Moon Knight came up, and they said that Moon Knight was very similar to how the ID is, experienced, and actually the directors of the ID talk with sorry, the directors of Moon Knight talk to a lot of people who have the ID to, get their experiences to be as accurate as it can. Of course, some parts are left out because, the experience is not universal. The experience differs from person to person. But just thought I would share that because, again, I thought Moon Knight's pretty cool.
So it's like diverse and stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate to the actual disorder.
And
And Oscar Isaac is going to play Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, and the upcoming Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I'm real excited for that because Miles Morales was the first. He's one of the first Latino superhero.
yeah, it's like something
Spider-Man.
different for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I believe Miles Morales was Puerto Rican, but Miguel O'Hara is Mexican. So
You know
yeah,
what day it comes out?
I think, and I don't know actually. I know it's later this year. I'm excited to watch it. Are you gonna watch it?
Most likely.
Most likely, yeah.
Okay, so that is all the time we have. Thank you for everybody that is watching. If you enjoyed this episode, then please leave us a like and share it with your friends and family to spread knowledge on Latinx culture. And we are the Latin Network, and as always, it has been a pleasure talking to all of you. See you next time.
See you next time.